Welcome, good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending on wherever you are in the world, and welcome to the last small presentation of the day. I'm delighted to be hosting NYU Stern, here to kind of give a presentation on their MBA program, what makes them unique, and why you should definitely consider applying to them in the next MBA application cycle. So before I hand over to Adam and Emily, there's a few things I wanted to mention. So first of all, if you guys could like this video or don't like it, we just need to get some feedback as to how we're doing, because we want to make sure that we're offering you guys the best advice and that we're doing our best job in terms of supporting you through your MBA application journey. Second one is, can you please subscribe to the GMAT Club channel as well on YouTube? Again, it helps us to continue to provide you with great, useful content throughout your MBA application journey. And then the third thing, before I kind of stop my mouth and hand it over, is we will be giving away some GMAT Club tests and quizzes. So there will be a link posted in the YouTube chat function to the right-hand side. So if you just head over to there, fill in your details, and you could be in for a chance to win one of these prizes. Another mention for Q&A. So after the presentation is done by Adam and Emily, we'll be entering a Q&A session. So we'll be taking questions that were pre-submitted on the GMAT Club forum. And if you guys have any questions throughout the presentation, feel free to be posting them in the YouTube chat function. And then we've also got Mary, who will be answering questions as we're going through the presentation. Anything that isn't answered, obviously, we'll take in the actual Q&A session, where Adam and Emily will be able to go into a bit more detail about the questions that you've got regarding the NYU Stern MBA program. So that's me done. I'll close my mouth and I'll hand it over to Adam and Emily. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Linda. Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. My name is Adam Smith. I am a Senior Associate Director of MBA Admissions at NYU Stern. Thank you again for spending the next 45 minutes or so with us. We've prepared a brief presentation, but before we get to that, I would love it if Emily, would you mind introducing yourself?
Sure. Hi, everyone. So happy to be here. I'm Emily. I just finished being an MBA 2 at NYU Stern. I just graduated this past May, and I will be heading into consulting at Boston Consulting Group starting this summer.
Great. Thank you, Emily. So like I said, I've got a short presentation prepared for all of you today. And then once we wrap up the presentation, Emily and I will jump in and answer any questions that you have. So why don't we get started? We can jump to the next slide. So I wanted to use the next 15 minutes or so to give you all an overview of the Stern experience, but pay particular attention to the things that make Stern special. Those two things in my mind are, one, our attitude towards change. Stern's call to action is change, dare it, dream it, drive it. And that's because Stern is really a school on the move. We are a forward-thinking institution that values innovation and recognizes that in today's global business world, change is upon us. It's happening every single day in business, and we want our students to be on the forefront of that change. So everything we do at Stern is with that in mind, and challenging our students to respond to this call of action and figure out, how can you respond to change? How can you drive change and make that part of your career and improve the business landscape through the lens of change? The second thing that is most important is our emphasis on IQ plus EQ. I think the IQ component there is a little more self-explanatory. Everyone at Stern is, of course, incredibly smart, an incredibly capable individual, but what makes people special is EQ. So I'd love to spend a moment talking about that. If you could move to the next slide, please. So EQ, what is this? What is emotional quotient? In the most simplest of ways, to explain it, it really is those soft skills. EQ is what makes someone a good leader. It's things such as self-awareness, empathy, learning how to lead in uncomfortable situations, but also learning when to recognize when it might be appropriate to step back and let someone else lead and take control of a situation. EQ is one of the things that we not only look for in applicants, but it's also a skill that we make sure to develop while you are at Stern in the MBA program. And it starts from the first moment that you step foot on campus Through our launch orientation program, students are put into small groups where they are meeting diverse individuals, learning about their experiences, both personal and professional, and learning by listening, and that's the first step. And then throughout your MBA program, there are opportunities to continue to develop that EQ skill set through things such as leadership simulations, learning how to lead with empathy in the classroom, outside of the classroom. EQ is really that foundational skill set that we want our students to have upon graduating from the program. And that's really because it's one of the things that recruiters tell us year over year. That's one of the things they look for. They are looking for leaders who can jump into challenging situations, who can lead with empathy, who are okay with uncertainty, okay with that changing landscape that I spoke about, but are able to lead with compassion throughout whatever situation they are faced in. If you could jump to the next slide, please. I want to take a moment to talk about each of our programs. So we have 3 MBA programs at NYU Stern. The first one is our 2-year MBA program. This is what you might think of when you think of an MBA degree. It's 2 years, that classic MBA program where most students typically have an internship between the first and second years. This program is for you if you are looking for a broad business education where you want to touch a little bit of everything, but also know that there's the opportunity to really dive deep into your particular area of interest. In our 2-year MBA program, there are over 20 specializations for you to choose from. Specializations ranging from finance to marketing to social impact and innovation to healthcare. So whatever your personal or professional interests are, there's the opportunity to really dive deep into that particular area. Then we have 2 focused MBA programs. So these would be the Andre Ku Tech MBA and our Fashion and Luxury MBA program. These are 1-year-long programs, and it's for you if you're really focused and committed to one of these 2 particular industries. Again, they're 1-year programs. You take coursework throughout the entire year, but there are experiential learning opportunities built into the program. So for example, as a part of the program, you might be working with MasterCard on a new tech product that they're launching or a tech product that they're marketing, and you can help them and get some of that internship-like experience while in the program through your coursework. The next slide, please. Regardless of the program that you are interested in today, you have the same access to our wonderful faculty at Stern. The faculty really is one of the things that makes Stern a special place. They are an incredible group of individuals. There are over 300 faculty members. The faculty is made up of premier researchers, including 4 Nobel laureates, but also some of the top business leaders in their particular fields. That is one of the key advantages to attending a business school in the middle of New York City, where just about every industry and many companies are based or have representation, is that we've got access to some of the greatest thinking minds in their fields. So people might be working during the day and then teaching a course or 2 at night, and you as students have the opportunity to learn from those incredible individuals. I want to take a moment just to, if you could step back for a second, highlight a couple of the faculty members you see on screen here. The one in the top left is Dolly Chugg. She wrote an incredible book called The Person You Mean to Be. She's one of our management professors, and she's done some really, really cool research on implicit bias and what that looks like in both the workplace, but also the academic setting. I highly recommend her as a professor if you find yourself at Stern. And then in the bottom left there is Melissa Schilling. She is a professor who focuses on technology and innovation, and she herself has done some really great research on technology in cell phones, video games, in biotech. She's one of the most popular professors as well at Stern. Next slide. Now, of course, you're all probably thinking about an MBA program because you're looking to make some type of transition in your career. And I'm here to tell you that regardless of what that transition is, Stern is there to support you. And the Office of Career Development is really your safe place to go when you are looking for career support at Stern. These companies and that you see on the screen here are just a small example of some of the places that our students work, and they get there through the support at Stern. And that support starts from the moment you set foot on campus. Career Development has an Ignite program, and this is really your boot camp, if you will, for what does it mean to recruit at Stern. How do you put your best foot forward in an interview or meeting with recruiters? And how do you get into interview shape? And they'll help with mock interviews, resume reviews, and just helping you to navigate that recruiting landscape. And again, regardless of what industry that you are interested in, whether it be finance, tech, media, entertainment, healthcare, retail, Stern is there to support you. I would also be remiss not to mention that your fellow students are a huge support network for you as a student. For example, our MBA 2s work as career coaches for MBA 1s as they are beginning their MBA journey. It can be a little daunting to jump in and start recruiting in the first months of the program, but the MBA 2s have done it. They've been successful. They know some tips and tricks that might help you throughout the recruiting process, and they are there to help coach you throughout the process, whether it be just kind of someone to talk to about the process, someone to hold a mock interview with. Your fellow students are a critical component of the career aspect of an MBA program. And then finally, I want to touch a little bit on the community. Like I said, your fellow students are a critical component of the MBA program, not only in just the career support aspect of the program, but also just in the personal relationship building component. You know, when you go to an MBA program, it's really 2 years or so for you to focus on yourself, focus on your career, really improving yourself as a person and as a professional. And you're surrounded by students who all have that same goal and same vision for themselves. So it is such an exciting place to spend 2 years to get to know your fellow classmates on both a personal and professional level. We have over 40 clubs on campus where students can be a part of that and really experience something special, whether it be a professional club, an affinity club, or purely a social club where people just want to explore some of their hobbies together. It really is an exciting place to be a student and develop lifelong friendships. So in our final minutes of the presentation, I do want to focus a little bit on the application itself. There are a couple of things I want to highlight. I won't go through every component of the application, but I do want to speak to some of the things that we look for. So broadly speaking, the application can be grouped into three pillars or 3 areas, and those are the academic component of the application, the professional, and the personal. So the academic is really where we're assessing, do we think you'll be able to succeed in a rigorous MBA curriculum? Some of the things we look for are through your past academic records, standardized test scores, perhaps through your work experience, you can demonstrate that you are ready for an MBA curriculum, but that's the first pillar of the application. The second pillar is the professional component of the application. So this is where we are looking at your past successes, your prior work experience, who are you as a professional, but we're also looking at what are your goals? Why do you want to go to an MBA program? And what are you going to do at Stern to make that goal a reality? So some of the things we look at are your resume, prior work history. We have a couple of EQ endorsements for your past supervisors or people you've worked with to write a recommendation on your behalf. And then finally, the personal component of the application. You know, I mentioned the community is really something special at Stern, and this is a little piece where we can get a sense of who you are and what you would bring to the community at Stern. And we're not looking for anything in particular. We're really just looking for you to bring you to the program. So then one of the ways that a few of the ways we assess and get to know you as a person is through our essays. So the first would be our change essay. So this is a new one. You know, I mentioned at the very beginning of the presentation, Stern's call to action, change, dare it, dream it, drive it. So for this essay, we ask you to fill in that second word with a word of your choice. So for example, it could be change, embrace it, or change, lead it. And then we want you to tell us why you chose that word and why that's your personal tagline, and how you'll bring that energy into Stern. So we're looking for, what does change mean to you, and what are you going to do at Stern to really embrace that personal tagline of yours? And the second essay is a pick 6 essay. So this is where you'll select 6 images that you want to show us. Show us who you are in these 6 images. It could be who you are as a professional, as a person. What are your interests, hobbies, or passions? But we just want to see a little bit of what makes you tick through these 6 images that you select. And then finally, perhaps the number one way for us to get to know who you are as a person would be through the interview. So the interview is a chance for us to get to know you, to get to know a little bit more about your goals, about why you want to pursue an MBA, about what interests you about Stern, but it's also an opportunity for you to ask us questions. All of the interviews are with members of the admissions committee. So we know the program, we know it in and out, so please come prepared with questions for us. It's really more of a conversation than an interview. We just want to get to know you. We want you to get to know us and help you make the best decision you can for your MBA journey. All right, we're closing in. I just wanted to share the deadlines with all of you for our 2-year MBA and our focused MBAs. The application is now live, and you'll see that the first application deadline for each program is September 15th. So it's coming up in about 3 months from now. We are currently in June, so the first deadline is September 15th, and there are 3 other deadlines for each program. I want to mention that these deadlines are really there to serve you as a student, or as an applicant rather, to help you as you are applying to MBA programs and taking this next step in your career. With each of these deadlines, there is a notification date by which you'll hear from us. So just know that. So for example, if you apply by September 15th for the 2-year program, you'll hear from us at Stern by December 1st. And again, those are there to help you. We admit students off of all of these deadlines. So I really encourage all of you to wait to apply until you've got the best application that you can put forward. So if that means waiting to finesse your essay, or to retake a standardized test, or if you're waiting on a recommendation to come in, I encourage you to wait until your application is the strongest that it can actually potentially be before submitting your application. And then finally, just some resources here. These are on our website, of course, but I want you all to stay in touch with us at Stern. We've got some graduate ambassadors who work with our office. So these are MBA 2s who are current students currently in the program. Students are one of the best resources for you, students and alumni. That's why I'm so excited that we have Emily here with us today. But students as well are a great resource for you as you're exploring Stern. So definitely talk to them, ask them questions about their experience, and get to know us a little bit.
Thank you very much, Adam. Thanks for the brilliant presentation. So I guess it's time for us to move into the Q&A session. So first of all, I want to say thanks so much, Mary. You've been an absolute machine. I've seen how you've been answering the questions in the YouTube chat, and you've got through quite a few. So I will jump into the questions that we've had pre-submitted on GMAT Club. So the first question that we had that came in was, how would you say that round 1 and round 2 applications differ for NYU Stern, or is there a difference?
Sure thing. The short answer is there really is no difference. Like I said, we want you to wait to apply until your application is the strongest that it can be. And if that means waiting to round 2, or even the 3rd deadline or the 4th deadline, then I encourage you to do that. There really is no difference at Stern. We accept applicants off of all of the deadlines. So just wait to apply until your application is as strong as it can be.
Thank you, Adam. Our second question is, could you tell us about the opportunities that applicants from non-tech backgrounds have to convert to more tech or strategy roles, such as product management?
Sure, I can talk a little bit about this. So I think one of the best opportunities that you have if you're looking to transition into an industry like product management is to join a student club like Stern Technology Association. Stern has professional clubs for all different types of areas that you could be looking to make a pivot into. As I mentioned, I'll be going into consulting after business school, but didn't have a consulting background, so I joined our Management Consulting Association. These types of professional clubs give you all of the different types of resources, guest speakers, practice resources, etc., that you could need to make that pivot into a tech or strategy role if you don't have that type of tech background.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, Emily. Another question that's come through. What do you expect to see in a Stern student? I guess, is there a common theme that runs through them? I know obviously, you probably want diversity in a class, but if you were to kind of distill a common thread through Stern students, what would you say it was?
I'm actually, if you don't mind, Emily, I'm going to put you on the spot for this one. What do you think is a common thread amongst the student body?
Sure. I mean, I know in your presentation you talked a lot about the EQ. I think that's really paramount to being a Stern student, and something I look for in my classmates is really just that emotional intelligence, that ability to work in all different types of teams, step up and be a leader in some situations, take a step back and listen in other situations, having that empathy, that ability to work in diverse groups. That's really something I look for in a Stern student.
Awesome. And I echo that. I'd say one other thing is Stern students are incredibly ambitious and driven, but it is never at the expense of anyone else. Our students understand that they can all succeed together, and they want to help each other do that. So it makes for a really exciting atmosphere when everyone has their eyes on these incredible goals that they're going after, and people help each other get there.
Thank you, Adam. Thank you, Emily. I'll quickly jump to YouTube and see if there's any questions coming through here. Interesting question from Rohan. What goes into an EQ endorsement?
Awesome question. So it is a endorsement from, we ask for two, and one of them being a current supervisor if possible. There's a couple of questions on the endorsement. Those questions are readily available on our website, but to give you a sense of what they are, it is, how do you know the applicants, provide a piece of constructive feedback that you've ever given the applicant, and then we ask specifically about a time that the applicant has demonstrated great emotional intelligence.
Thank you. So a question which is at the forefront of a lot of students' minds or potential students' minds is always financial aid and how they're going to pay for the MBA program. So could you please give us a bit of an insight into what financial aid and assistance is available from NYU Stern?
Definitely. So all students all applicants just by pressing submit on an application are considered for merit-based financial aid in terms of a scholarship or an award. About 25% or so of our student body has received a merit-based award. Those typically range from about a half tuition to full tuition scholarship. And again, just by pressing submit, you are eligible for those awards. From there, there are a number of donor awards that can come in throughout your time at the MBA that you are eligible for. And then our students, we also encourage new students to work with financial aid to discuss their particular situations in terms of funding the MBA. But everyone is considered for merit-based scholarship, so that's probably the number one thing you need to know.
Nice. So looking for another good question from the YouTube chat. So a question from Aryan. Is it possible to get accepted into an MBA program after completing a bachelor's in business administration, if he or she has all the requirements, the undergrad result, GRE, TOEFL, except full-time work experience?
Absolutely. So the average years of work experience amongst our student body is about 5 years or so, but that range is typically anywhere from 0 years of work experience to about 13 or 14 in any given class. So what that means is we do have students who are directly out of an undergraduate program who are in the MBA program. If you're in that situation, what I encourage you to think about, though, in writing your essays and in your interview, if you're invited to interview, is demonstrate to us as an admissions committee why now is the right time for you to pursue an MBA program rather than waiting to get 2, 3, 4, 5 years of work experience. Why is now that kind of critical point in your professional life where an MBA is going to make the difference as opposed to getting some professional experience before?
Brilliant advice. A question from Ravi: do international students at Stern do IN semester internships? Or in-semester internships. It was capitalized, so I thought it was an acronym.
Mm-hmm.
So are you allowed to do your internships during the semester?
That's a good question. I believe it depends on the student's circumstances and probably who the employer is. Emily, I don't know if you want to comment more generally on in-semester students, if there's any trends for who tends to have them or how common they are amongst the student body.
Sure. I don't know if I can separate it for domestic versus international students anecdotally, but plenty of people do them. I think it's really common in the entertainment industry and media and sports because those industries tend to recruit for summer internships later in the year. So it's pretty common to have a bit more time in the fall semester to take on an internship responsibility. Another opportunity, if you're interested in getting work experience throughout the year, is to do an experiential learning opportunity while at Stern. I did one called Stern Consulting Corps, for which we were paired with a client. Mine was a luxury fitness brand based here in New York City, and we worked on a strategy consulting project for them for the duration of the semester. There's also experiential learning opportunities like Tech in the City, Stern Signature Projects, a ton more opportunities. You can look them up on Stern's website, but those are another path to take for work experience besides doing an official in-semester internship if you're interested.
Thank you so much, Emily. I'll quickly do a sidestep back into the pre-submit questions. So in terms of reapplicants, what areas can a reapplicant look for when it comes to improving their profile or showing that they've improved from their previous application?
Sure. So at Stern, we value self-awareness and the applicant's ability to reflect on their application a little bit. So we're looking for you to do that, really. We're looking for you to make a change between your first application and your next. What that change is, again, we're looking for you to kind of assess where you think you might be able to improve, whether it might be a little bit of work experience or something outside of work, an extracurricular where you might get the opportunity to kind of flex your leadership skills. It could be a test retake, or perhaps you've taken the GRE instead of the GMAT or tried a new test. We're really looking for you to just show us something different, show us that you've put in an effort to improve your application the next time around.
Great advice, Adam. This is probably a bit of a tricky question. So apart from a good GMAT score, what is the most important factor for Stern MBA admissions? A really quite pointed question, but
I know you're probably not going to like my answer, but there is no most important factor for Stern MBA admissions, and the GMAT score is just, if you even have taken the GMAT, you know, we accept a number of other tests. It's just one component of your application. We really do review applications holistically. I like to think of it as a little bit like a seesaw. So you might be a little bit stronger academically, but the professional, you know, there's a balance. Everything's weighing each other out. And again, your standardized test score, whether it be a GMAT, GRE, or any other test that you submit, is really just one indicator of how you might perform in the classroom. There's many, many other ways where you can show us that you can handle a Stern curriculum, whether it be through your undergraduate studies or any other, you know, pre-MBA coursework that you've done. Could be through your work experience. You know, even in EQ endorsements, we'll have endorsers comment on the, you know, analytical and quantitative prowess of the applicant. That is support for you and your ability to do well in the classroom. So, you know, a score is really just one tiny component of a much larger application, and we look at it all together.
Thank you, Adam. So here is quite a specific question from a potential candidate. So they say they would like to focus on finance, social impact investing, and leadership at the MBA. So what are unique opportunities and resources that you would say NYU Stern can offer in these areas to help the candidate looking forward?
Sure, I can speak a little bit to this. Finance not being my area of expertise, but I did specialize in it at Stern, which is, if anyone knows me from my background, pretty exciting for me, a very new area for me to explore. So specialization is a great way for you to focus on finance or investing if that's something that you want to explore for the first time or get a little bit more into. I can speak a lot more to the leadership end of things, a lot of resources for that at Stern and growing every day. One of the best resources that I took advantage of in my second year at Stern was our Leadership Accelerator, and specifically the Leadership Fellows program, which was a year-long mentorship and cohort-based program where we met with C-suite executives every month, completed skill-based as well as personal reflection activities, and developed really strong relationships with our cohort of fellow Stern students to really develop those leadership abilities, explore our leadership styles, and learn more about what it takes to kind of make it to the top. So a lot of really awesome programs available through the Leadership Accelerator. I encourage you to look them up on Stern's website, as well as, on the finance side, as I mentioned, you can either join the Graduate Finance Association, the Impact Investing, NYU Impact Investing Fund, or choose a specialization in finance to get more involved in that area.
Thanks so much, Emily, for that answer. Very comprehensive and super informative. So I will jump back to YouTube. So a question: in 100% application for college, we need to submit a resume, GMAT score, essay, letter of recommendation. So I was asking about they want to understand that it's quite hard, I guess, how much the resume is weighted, which again, I guess is a very difficult question to answer, considering it's a very holistic process. So,
yep, the short answer is there aren't any weights to anything. It's a holistic process. So your resume and your work experience is just one component of your application that we look at in its entirety.
So what's Stern's policy on accepting people who've already done an MBA?
You can apply. We have applicants who have already pursued an MBA or any other number of graduate degrees. So there is no particular policy that prohibits a second MBA.
So going back to the pre-submitted questions, I think we've answered all of them, actually. So not going back to the pre-submitted questions, going back to the YouTube questions. So here's a question. So this candidate or this potential candidate has a bachelor's and master's degree in engineering and a PMP certification. And if admitted, they're asking at the age of 32, if admitted, they'll be 32 at the time of joining the program. Around the question of age, and is there a question regarding age and application to the NYU Stern application?
Sure, there's no age requirement, no age limit. I mentioned the average years of work experience is about 5, but the range is quite broad, typically about 0 to 14. So the age range there, if you do the math, is also quite broad. When applying to an MBA program, regardless of what your age is or what your goals are, what I encourage you all to think about is how do you demonstrate to the admissions committee why now is the right time for you to pursue an MBA. Whether you are 22, 32, or 42, what matters is your why, and you should make sure that you are expressing that in your application in some way.
I saw some great questions about the Pick 6 essay. Oh, there you go.
Yeah, that's what I was looking at. Thank you. Yeah, I was looking for a good question. I saw that and I thought that's the one I'm going to ask next. So I guess what NYU Stern is very well known for this, the Pick 6 essay question. So Emily, could you give us an idea of what you did for it and what your thought process was, and any advice that you would give to candidates looking to apply for NYU Stern?
Sure. The Pick 6 essay is my favorite thing to talk about for the NYU Stern application. I think it's the most exemplary of Stern as a community and what we value as a school. And that's you as a person, not just as a piece of paper. It's your opportunity to make your application really come to life and show us who you are outside of school and what you're going to bring to the Stern community, and introduce yourself to your future Stern classmates. So as Adam mentioned, it's 6 images of any kind, as well as corresponding 1-sentence captions for each image, introducing yourself to the community. So for my pick 6, I chose images of myself from in different parts of my life that bring me joy, bring me passion, make me who I am. So as a few examples, I had completed a rim-to-rim hike of the Grand Canyon with my dad that I had been training for a year. So I included a picture of that. I was an avid musical theater dancer in college, so I included a photo of that. I'm Jewish, which is pretty important for my personal identity, so I included a photo that I had taken at one of the concentration camps in Poland. That's very important to me as a person. I used to work at the Burger King brand in marketing, which is also really exciting for me. So 2 of my images were from that. And I don't remember off the top of my head what my last one was, but basically and one was of Disney World, which is a big part of who I am too. So those are all just like different sides of me and my personality, things that are important to me and make me who I am. They really can be anything though. They don't have to be photos of you. I have a friend who did illustrations of maps of different neighborhoods of New York City and what they mean to her. I know people who used images of family members and explained what impact they've had on them. So really anything that you think shows who you are and what you'll bring to the Stern community.
Nice. Thank you very much, Emily. I know that's probably one of the kind of like many candidates kind of like start pulling their hair out when they have to think about what to put down for the pick 6. So it's great to hear your perspective on that. Another question we've got is, and you may or may not be able to answer this, I appreciate, but is there anything that you can say about the new essay question coming up for this application cycle?
Definitely. With that new question, we're just really looking to learn a little bit more about you and about your philosophies and what you're going to bring to Stern, kind of through the lens of that, again, our call to action: change, dare it, dream it, drive it. When I think about this question personally, I think, or in my personal opinion, change has more than ever been a part of all of our lives over the past year and a half or so. So it's really quite a timely call to action amongst our student body and amongst the community at Stern. So we just wanted to learn a little bit more about all of you and basically through that call to action. So this is like the pick 6 essay. We're not looking for anything in particular. We're just really hoping to learn a little bit more about you and your thought process.
Thank you very much. I actually have a request, Emily. I know that as a student who's just completed the MBA, you probably have some great things you'd want to share, and probably is very, very valuable for people looking to come to NYU Stern. So could you just give us some kind of like key takeaways from your experience, things that you wish you had known when you were doing the application process, and things that you really want to highlight for people looking to apply to NYU Stern?
Sure. A few, nuggets of wisdom, so to speak. I think one of the best pieces of advice that I give to applying students is no one is as non-traditional as they think they are, and that's a good thing. I was coming, as I said, from a fast food brand doing marketing, specifically advertising. I didn't have any sort of quantitative background prior to Stern. And so I really thought I was coming from a very disadvantaged position, that I didn't have a chance of getting in, and that even if I did get in, it would be way too hard or intense, or I wouldn't fit in a business school environment. But one of the reasons I chose NYU Stern over some other programs was because of how holistic the experience is, how committed the school is to team-based environments, collaboration, and EQ. So even though I thought I was so non-traditional and there was no way that I would fit in, really Stern was the place that I would fit in, because it's all about having people from different backgrounds come together in different types of teams and lead in different ways. So I think that that's a really important thing to know about NYU. Other things I just really loved about the experience. Living in New York City is an amazing gift, both from like a social and community perspective, as well as from a professional perspective. I obviously did my recruiting in my first year before the pandemic hit, and hopefully we're on the tail end of it now as well, which means that we've really had the opportunity to go to all of our recruiters and employers' offices, meet with people in person, develop those strong relationships because we were based right in New York City, where so many of the industries are based. So we were kind of right at the doorstep of all of the different types of employers that we want to make relationships with. And then from the community perspective, exploring New York City with your Stern classmates is one of the best things that you can do for 2 years. You know, the Empire State Building, Ellis Island, Yankees games, exploring all of the New York City is such a gift. So just a few things that I loved about being at Stern.
Thank you so much for sharing that experience. So a question, I won't be able to display this, but a request, Adam, if you could answer, if it was possible to apply to both the tech and the 2-year MBA.
Good question. And I should have made that distinction. We ask you to apply to one program. So there's, you have to make the selection at the time of application, and you can only have one active Stern application per academic cycle. So that would also include some of our other programs, like our MS in Accounting program, our Executive MBA program. You can apply to one of those programs per academic year. So you cannot apply to both the tech and the 2-year in the same year.
Perfect. Thank you, Adam. We've got about 4 minutes left, so we'll take 1 or 2 more questions. So I see a question that's coming from Sunil. For someone coming from a healthcare background, is there a healthcare focus or initiative at NYU Stern?
Yes, there's a healthcare management specialization that you can choose to focus in on. There's also a couple of classes that are jointly offered between the School of Public Policy at NYU as well as the Med School at NYU. So that's a really awesome benefit of being part of the NYU Stern community, is you can take co-curricular classes with other schools, other graduate programs at NYU, like the School of Law, like the School of Public Policy, the Tisch School of Fine Arts, etc. There's also the Stern Healthcare Association, SHA, which is a student-run club specifically focused on recruiting in the healthcare industry. So lots of different opportunities to focus in on healthcare.
So I will take this opportunity now to, first of all, apologize to everyone whose questions we didn't get to. I'm sure both Adam and Emily will be happy to answer any questions offline if you shoot them an email. But I wanted to kind of thank you and join everyone else, I'm sure, in thanking you for taking the time out to give us a good insight into NYU Stern, into what the MBA program is like at NYU Stern, and to give us a few insights and tidbits as to things we should look out for when making an application to the school. So is there anything else that you guys want to share before I close the session? Any further words of wisdom, Emily, or any last points to note, Adam?
Emily, anything to share?
No, I mean, obviously, good luck to everyone. Best of luck in your applications. To Linda's point, if anyone wants to reach a former student with any questions, my email address is just firstname.lastname@stern.nyu.edu. More than happy to answer any questions that I can about the Stern student experience via email.
Yeah, and I would just reiterate, please stay in touch. Definitely visit us on our website. There's contact information there. If you have any questions about the program, want to get in touch with a current student, definitely reach out to us. We're happy to help.
Nice. Thanks so much, guys. So before I close, I'll say it one more time. Like the video if you found it super useful, or if you didn't, thumbs down. We won't be offended. At least we say we won't, probably will be. But it just helps us provide good content for you guys and to help keep supporting you throughout your MBA application process and journey. And please subscribe to the GMAT Club channel because it helps us help you get through what is a very, very important chapter of your lives when it comes to applying for the MBA program. So thanks once again, both of you, for joining us today. And thanks for giving us a great insight into the NYU Stern MBA program. So thank you, everyone, for joining, and have a great day.